Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat, and Air. Once again with the show, You Got This. It's a show of DIY do's and don'ts. And I'm finally really back. My brain feels like it's fully functioning now after COVID and the holidays. How are you feeling, Rosalie? Oh, and I got Rosalie here as well, but she's in lovely LA and I'm in lovely, cold, foggy, rainy Auburn.
Okay, well, it's cold here. It's not raining.
Yeah,
It's
it's like down there is up here, right? It's like in the 40s.
it's 49 right now, so it's cold.
Yeah, 41. So
I'm kind of laughing because if people watch this on video, you have your mascot over there, and I have my mascot up there. So I have a T-Rex, and you have a bear. I don't know what that says about our personalities. Actually, I do, but that's another show.
That's so funny that I got the T-Rex because on my Facebook memory yesterday, that video popped up where I opened the dumpster and there was a inflatable T-Rex head just going back and forth. It's like, oh my God.
You tagged me in that, actually.
T-Rex balloon head. I should qualify that. So it was literally floating in the air. And the breeze was just kind of pushing it back and forth a little bit. And then there was a delivery guy coming in and I'm like, open that door. And he opens the door and he jumps back. That's so good. It's classic.
I wish you would have filmed that. That would have been good. That would have gone viral.
Yeah. So we're back in the office and most people are healthy again. And it's kind of cold and kind of rainy and I don't know. It's been funky. I guess I'm kind of glad to be back, but yeah, it's been kind of it's been a weird holiday season. How about for you? Was the holiday season just kind of odd?
Well, it's funny because, it was a little bit because it was a holiday season that I felt like went by really quickly. I did spend a little bit of it up there, right? So I was kind of out of my element. And it was nice to spend pre-Christmas with some people. But then by the time I got back to LA, it was kind of like it was Christmas week. It was a little bit, quick. And it was over before we knew it. And we did go to Cantor's Deli on Christmas Day with a million other people. To do something a little different, to do something very LA. Yeah. And the food was terrible and the service was terrible, but we didn't care. It was just, let's make this a little different. So we went and had subpar food, but it was just to get out and do something different. Yeah. And, but yeah, I mean, it's already almost mid-January and it just feels like it went really quickly. So that was my thing. It wasn't a bad season. It was just that I was working so much that I didn't really take the time to, I didn't take the time to kind of even acknowledge it. It was more like, what do I have to get done before the holiday? And then the holiday came and then it was right back to work. So it was a short holiday season.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, illness was for us, like, not being able to see our family or our friends. And then even later on, we wanted to get together with our family and then other people had gotten sick. So yeah, it was just a weird one. But anyway, we're through that. Now we're in mid-January and we're in the cold season in Nevada County and Placer County. Rainy. I know we're recording this on Wednesday. We're supposed to get some low snow tonight. And I know, typically with some low snow and some high winds too. It's supposed to be pretty high winds. Typically we get trees that fall and take out power lines. So, thought it'd be a good time to kind of reiterate and kind of go over, what to do when you lose your power and what you can do to get ready for it. It's not necessarily too late, but because we also have these PSPs up here where we lose power during the summertime, even though, everything's supposed to be working. So I thought I'd talk about generators and what some of the pros and cons of having a standby generator installed. So, there's a difference. So, there's a generator that you can run extension cords in your house and run your TV and run your refrigerator and things like that. And those will work, but you got extension cords running. You got to make sure you have fuel. You got to get the thing prepared. You got to put it in a place where it's not gonna kill you, because it is a gas engine spitting out a ton of carbon monoxide. So you don't want to leave it in your garage. You want to leave it outside, and then you got the weather and all this stuff. We've got these systems that are actually installed next to your home, in the vicinity of your home, that work whenever the power goes out. So there's an automatic transfer switch that automatically turns this thing on. So you barely even notice that the power goes out. There'll be a dip in your lights. Within seconds, the power is back on. So for a convenience standpoint, they're incredibly convenient. And if you live up on Banner, or if you live out off of 49 or off of 20 somewhere in some of the rural areas, you're probably getting power outages more than some of us others that, I live close to town now, so we don't have that many power outages. But I know when we were living on Banner, we get them quite a bit. And I remember that one, you were living there at the time, where we had like a month or something like that, seemed through Thanksgiving, where we didn't have any power. And just all
The
heck
worst.
there. Yeah, it was brutal.
It was the worst.
Anyway, so we saw these standby generators. So what are some of the benefits that you get out of a standby generator? Well, obviously the big one is continuous power, right? Your whole house generator is going to ensure uninterrupted power for the entire time during the outage. Depending on the size of generator is going to determine what you are going to power. So obviously the bigger the generator, the more we can power, right? So we can put a generator that's going to power your entire home, everything from your well pump to your HVAC system to your electric range. But we also have smaller units that will, power key parts of your home, like your lights and maybe a few outlets, a few circuits in the house, so you can have your TV, your internet, those sort of things. Question.
I have a question, sir. So pretend that I know nothing, which you're not really pretending there, right?
You know more than a lot, but yeah.
So so I don't even know how to phrase the question, because as soon as you start talking about it, I start thinking, oh, okay. So when you talk about powering certain parts of your home, right, is that going to be something that I'm going to say, look, my budget is XYZ. So what can I get for that? Like how do you determine like what you're going to power? Help me figure that out real quick.
So that happens on the initial consultation. So we'll send a technician out who's really knowledgeable on the generators, and it's going to determine what are the must-haves, what are the I'd like to have, and what are kind of the luxury items. And then we can kind of give you an idea of what that's going to cost for each of those circuits, right? So inside of electrical panel, we've got circuit breakers, and each breaker powers either a device like a range or a well pump or HVAC, or they may service an entire floor or a couple bathrooms or something like that. So we'll go in and determine on the low end what are some of the must-haves. I want to be able to have lights in the bathroom when I go to the bathroom. I want to have lights in the kitchen when I'm in the kitchen. I want my refrigerator to work so I don't lose all my food. I want my well pump to work so that I can actually take a shower. I want to make sure my water heater, if I have a tankless water heater, has power, or if I have an electric water heater, that it has power. So those kind of things. So then we first determine that, and then we kind of work with the budget and determine what's going to be the best fit for the client in terms of the budget and the must-haves, right? And obviously, the bigger the house, the more power you're going to need. The more stuff you got, the more of a load you've got. If you got a 200 amp panel and it's already maxed out, you're going to need a pretty big generator. So we can kind of determine that. But also, if you're just, all I want is my well pump and my refrigerator and a couple lights, we can get away with a small 8 kW or 12 kW. But if I want everything to work, I may have to be a 20 to 25 kW, even 30 kW. So that kind of determines it. So yeah, that's a good question. So back to some of the benefits. So continuous power, convenience and comfort, right? I mean, I know I never installed one in my house. the cobbler's kids don't have no shoes, right? My wife asked for one many, many times, but I just never got around to doing it. But the convenience and comfort is huge. You basically don't even notice that there's a power outage. It just comes on automatically. You don't even have to go out and do anything. It just happens. So, you have a continuous, doesn't really change your routine. Yeah.
Another question or comment. So I know that generators that are a little bit older, my experience having lived in Nevada County and been around a lot of them, not in my own home, unfortunately, right. But when I was able to go over to other people's houses that held power, are the newer models much more quiet? Because I do know that there's that interesting like hum almost. Are the newer models kind of quiet, or is they're all kind of does that not changed?
They're quieter, but it's an internal combustion engine, so there's still going to be some noise. You still have an exhaust pipe, and depending on where we install it, is going to determine what kind of level of noise you have inside the house. And also, obviously, if you're using it during the wintertime, all the windows are closed, you're not going to really hear much. And if you got double pane windows, you're probably not going to hear it at all. But if during the summertime you got some windows open, yeah, you're going to hear it more than you would during the wintertime. So, and I've had some people that were really sensitive to noise, and we've got to put it a couple 100 feet away from the house. Obviously, that's going to add to the cost because now we've got to dig a trench all the way up to the unit, and copper is not cheap. So now we got to run a big wire out there. So that adds to the cost of it. But so pros and cons for all those things, right? But that can be determined by, what your budget is, right? Is it that important to you to be quiet? For some of us, it is. I like quiet. I know it would be important for me. So, yeah. What are some of the other things? Protect appliances and electronics. So one of the things that sudden power outages or fluctuation can damage sensitive electronics. And we see that often. And you were kind of alluding to that before we even got online on the show, is like surge protectors, right? Most houses don't have whole house surge protectors. If you're interested in a whole house surge protector, we install them. So you don't have to worry about just the little cheapo ones that protect your laptop. But everything today, most things have some form of computer control. Refrigerators, our ranges, most modern appliances or dishwasher have some kind of computers on them. They're really sensitive to power fluctuations. And during the wintertime, and even during the summertime, if you have a lightning strike in the vicinity of your house, if you have a power outage and then PG&E suddenly turns the power on, you can have a spike in power. It can blow things out. And we've had situations where, people's homes, their brand new TV, their refrigerator, their range all went out. Their well pump went out because of a power spike. And we come in and obviously put in once that's done, all of a sudden it's worth it to them to install the surge protector. But with a generator, you can kind of avoid some of those problems, right? Yes.
Sorry, again, no. I just keep picturing the surge protector that's like at my feet right now. So when you talk about a whole home surge protector, can you tell me, is that something that gets put on at the panel, or yes. What does that look like?
Yeah, so it goes inside the panel and it takes care of your entire home. So it'll shut the power off to your house, which can be a nuisance, but you can save thousands of dollars on appliances. Especially when you start considering how expensive some of these appliances are these days. I know, we redid our kitchen a couple years ago. Our range was like $2,000. Our refrigerator was like $1,500. Dishwasher was close to $1,000. So you're talking about, you got a good $10,000 of equipment in your kitchen alone that could suddenly be just paperweights. Because unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot of times fixing stuff is cost prohibitive compared to just replacing it.
That's the truth.
Some of these boards and things for some of these appliances can cost you $1,000. It's ridiculous, but that's just the reality of our day and age. And I was thinking about, even our toaster. Gosh, our toaster has a countdown on it now. It was like a $30 toaster, but it's got its own little CPU in there, right? So it'll fry the toaster out.
You guys have fancy toast. I didn't know that was a thing.
I think it cost like $30 and was something it was stainless steel and it was on sale. So I picked it up. Right.
It was
National
bright and shiny.
maker. Yeah. Um, some of the other things that can increase the home value, the installation of a whole home house generator can enhance the wholesale or resale value of your property, especially in Nevada County. People are looking for this sort of thing, and especially if you've got somebody that's moving up from the Bay Area or something that's looking at your house, that's a big plus when they're looking at other homes and they've never experienced a power outage. All this stuff is really new to them, and you can say, "Hey, you don't even have to worry about them. I never even thought about that." That's a big boon, right? And that could add an extra. It could actually pay for itself when you go to sell your house. So you can actually potentially get an extra $20,000 out of the sale of your house, or $50,000 out of the sale of your house because.
Let me ask you a question about
Yeah.
that. So, thinking about some of us, actually both of us own property in the Midwest. Actually, both of us do. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So let me ask you a question. So, like, let's say that I was going to get a whole home generator somewhere in the Midwest. I'm assuming that like the price on these things is based on kind of like where you live, and that kind of thing comes into the price. So what it would cost me here in California might be slightly different than if I were to do this kind of thing elsewhere in the country. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it has less to do with the appliance or the equipment itself, and has more to do with the hoops and things we have to jump through in our county, depending on where you live.
So permitting and things like that.
Regionally, it could be different between if I'm installing one in Auburn proper, the city of Auburn, compared to Placer County, or if I'm installing one in Nevada City. Well, actually, no, not in Grass Valley compared to Nevada County. Nevada City uses Nevada County inspectors now. And Nevada County's gotten pretty strict on it. I mean, we've got to actually do a full plot plan and show them a plan of where we're going to install it.
Oh.
And there's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through, and the permits are not cheap. So there's a lot that goes into installing one in Nevada County.
So could you speak
Especially
to really
right? Or if you go to
So
Texas,
could you-
you don't even need a permit, right?
Sure.
So-
I mean, let's be real. Don't go there. I also know people in Texas, as do you. So, no, but I was curious then. So we talk about generators often in the winter. We'll talk about them, and we'll talk about, the investment. But we also say that, look, there's a storm coming now. We're not going to get you in. Like, you're not going to be able to call us, have us come out and get your your unit in. So realistically, because of the permits and things like that, what's a typical, if there is one, like, got the estimate, okay, we know what we're doing, put the order in. What's the window from buy to install?
Typically, we can get it done within a week.
Okay.
So
even with the permits,
it's not.
Okay.
We've gotten a lot better at the hoops. When the regulations first came down, it took us a little while to figure out exactly what they wanted. But once we got that dialed, they can happen pretty quickly. Also depends on if we've got the equipment, either regionally or in hand ourselves. We keep a certain amount of equipment in stock in our warehouse. So it depends on that. And then we've got facilities here in NorCal that we can get equipment. So, but there's sometimes a big storm in the Northeast or in the Southeast that sucks up all the inventory, and it can be difficult for us to get it sometimes. I know we've gone through that a couple of times where we just couldn't get generators because there were some huge storms or whatever in the eastern part of the country.
Well, I mean, a week's time is not bad. I remember at one point I felt like we were really projecting further than that, so it must have been around that time.
It's gotten better. Mainly just because we've gotten more in tune with what the counties and cities, the jurisdictions want, and we've got people in place in our office now that are really good at talking to the counties and pulling permits and getting all that stuff in line. We recently hired a manager for our electrical department who he's been doing this a long time. I think he's got about 8 years on me. This is probably the last job I'll ever have. And he's forgotten more than I ever will learn. about
He's been
electrical.
on the show before, Mike Dale. He's
Oh
been
yeah,
on the
Mike
show.
Dale has been on our show. Yeah, so Mike Dale's he's been with us for about 4 months, and he's an amazing individual. He knows so much.
No,
So he's really
let's
streamlined
talk.
it for us.
So that reminds me. So Mike was in the video we did on installing a whole home generator, as was Shelby, our rock
Yeah.
star. And we use Kohler
Yes.
products. Now, is there a particular reason why that's the brand that we go to?
We use Kohler. They're not the cheapest. You can get cheaper ones, and there's one that starts with a G that's considerably cheaper. We have run into a lot of recalls on those. They're not the best products out there, and we try to install products that we can back up. And Kohler has been one of those products. They're, I mean, I don't want to say substantially more expensive, but you get what you pay for, right? So Kohler has been in the industry for longer than any other generator manufacturer in the world. They've been a small engine manufacturer since the turn of the century, and it might even be even before that, in Kohler, Wisconsin. So they actually have a company town in Wisconsin where they build these things. Their engines are stout. Their products are stout. We run into very few problems with them. So yeah, that's why we install primarily Kohler. We will install the other brands, but just if people are really cost conscious, we will install the other brands, but we'll typically try to push them towards Kohler. The longevity of it alone is worth the investment because it's going to last a lot longer than some of the other products. We've had to replace engines on some of the other products within 5 years. So, it's one of those things where you get what you pay for, and you're talking about the difference of decades as opposed to just a year or two. So it's really worth paying a little bit more money for it.
Okay, so speaking of getting what you pay for, we have time real quick. I think it's great to go over the specials we're offering. And then I also want to throw in a big reminder that ABT is in the running for the union's best of. We are in the plumbing category, we're in the heating and cooling, and we're also in electrical. So we're in 3 categories. We'd love your vote. You can vote every day, once a day. You can vote for just ABT, or you can go through and vote for everybody that you love in every category available. But of course, ABT is the one. And but you can vote once a day, every day through January 20th. And so we need your vote. Please check out, go to theunion.com. They've got all kinds of banners. And then Andrew, why don't you talk specifically about the 3, or I think it's actually 4, if you include drain deals we have going on right now.
Yeah, so we still have the specials going on. We're in January, so it's a little, things are not really busy right now. So we've got these incredible deals. $49 is going to get an electrician out and check your electrical system, make sure it's safe, and make sure you're going to make it through the winter and through the summer. And that $49 is a total deal. If your house is over 20 years old, definitely have it looked at. We also have a $49 water heater inspection, safety inspection, and flush. We'll also check out the plumbing system in your house. If you got a house that's over 20 years old, again, have it checked out. It's really inexpensive insurance. We have a $49 HVAC inspection. We're getting it through the wintertime. It's cold. You want to make sure that HVAC system works, $49. And we have a drain cleaning special for $97. If we can't clear it, it's free for any homeowner or any home with an accessible cleanout, $97. And you can reach us at 530-230-9092. That number again, 530-230-9092. You can find us on the web at abtplumbing.com, abtplumbing.com, and find us on all the socials between Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Happy New Year. Bye.